What's up, everybody? Come on into the room. We are live. We are live. Listen, it is Conversation with the Ghostins. When you come into the room, hashtag the Ghostins. Make sure that you invite, like, and share. Get your family and your friends into this room now. Let's have a healthy conversation about what we all know happened, or many of us are aware. Excuse me. Messing up my introduction. Many of us have become aware of the Oscar 2022 situation. So let's come on in the room, invite, like, and share. Again, this is going to be a healthy conversation regarding the slap that was heard around the world. And it would be different if we only heard it in the USA. But honey, this was international. You understand? So y'all come on in this room. Again, invite, like, and share. It is Conversation with the Ghostins. I am Asenta Ghostin, my husband, Antonio Ghostin. And we want to talk about this from a husband and wife perspective, right? We want to look at this from a perspective of husband and wife. Nobody can hear us.
Make sure everybody can hear us.
If you can hear us, go ahead and put a 1 in the comments. If you can hear us, put a 1 in the comments. Put a 1 in the comments if you can hear us. Go ahead and hashtag the Ghostins. Put a 1 in the comments. If you're watching the replay, hashtag the Ghostins replay or CWTG replay. Okay? So come on in. Again, listen, every opinion matters. Every opinion counts. Nobody is, we're not here to tell you whether you are right or wrong in your opinion or how you feel, but we just want to have a healthy conversation. So I'm going to share it to my page, encourage others to come in. Let's have a healthy conversation. Oscars 2022. A healthy conversation. Let's have a healthy conversation. About what? So. All right, come on in the room. 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 I'm sharing. I am sharing. I am sharing. All right, let's go. Let's go. We have a guest in the house too. So let's go. Let's go. Go ahead, babe.
We ain't did that stuff. You ain't did all that stuff.
Oh, God.
What?
Thank y'all for watching the replay. Thanks for coming into the room. Make sure that you invite, like, share, and subscribe. You said I didn't do none of this. I did all of this. If you can hear us, put a 1 in the comments.
Okay, then let's go.
Make sure that you're joining us on our YouTube channel.
Don't worry about it. Let's go.
Because I be doing the introduction.
Don't worry about it. You just upset because I wasn't ready to go at 8:30 on
That's
dot.
very true.
Get yourself together.
I'm trying to have good, healthy conversation, and you starting this off unhealthy.
How am I starting off unhealthy?
All right. Oh my God. What are you doing? Hello? Regina back there in the green room cracking up.
She is, because I don't hear anything out of my sound.
Okay, so you don't hear anything. And so what does that mean?
Something's lost. Something just happened.
Something is lost.
Regina, can you hear us?
Regina can hear us because she's laughing.
Oh, okay. All right, come on, let's go.
She can hear us just fine because she's laughing. Okay?
Okay, that's fine.
All right, great. All right, who do we have in the room tonight? I see that we got 7 people.
Because you're on your phone doing all this other stuff.
Oh, baby, I know you're not talking. I know you're not coming for me. We ain't been in here in a long time, and you want to come for me? Don't come for me, baby, unless I send for you. Okay?
You ain't looked at the screen now one time.
I have. Now I'm trying to tag some people. Edit the post.
Exactly what I'm saying.
You'll be okay for the second.
But the people are waiting.
Hello, y'all. Are you unable to speak? Go ahead. All right. What's up, everybody? Hey, y'all. Okay, they can hear us, the Ghostins. Hey, y'all. Hey. What's up? What's up? All right, guys. Listen, we are here to talk about what is buzzing around the world, and that is Oscars 2022. I have a few things that I want to say before we get started, and then we're going to jump in. And I want you guys to chime in as we are going. Please make sure that you are commenting, because this is I think that this is a very outside of it being entertainment, I think that this is a very serious conversation on so many levels. And I think that there's so many things to dissect from what we saw other than someone smacking somebody. And again, we can take this in all kind of different directions. We can take this from he was wrong, he was right, it was pent up anger. That's how you protect your wife. We can look at this from many angles. And I think that it's important for us to look at those angles. You want to know why? Because everybody's opinion is valid and everyone is speaking from their own perspective and from their lens, right? And so this triggered some things for some people, may have, upset some people on some other things. For me and my husband as parents, we looked at this from the perspective of our children, our child. What are we teaching our daughter about men or how they should respond? What type of wife should you be? It's all of that. And so when you come into the room, please make sure that you speak to us, say hello. Listen, don't sneak in without speaking. Okay, we are an interactive room here and we want to have healthy, good conversation about what we saw. Now, let me say this. We've seen all of the memes and listen, the internet don't have no chill. And it no longer takes a few days for news to get out into the street. Literally, my husband and I were not even watching the Oscars. I was on Facebook and all of a sudden I just started seeing all of these posts and I was like, what in the world happened? So we jumped in immediately. The clips were already out there. The voiceovers were already coming. People were already jumping on lives doing podcasts. It was like boom, 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 boom. Like, listen, it's the world that we live in. So with that being said, let me say this. Stop telling people to move on. Listen, that thing kind of triggered me a little bit today. And I'm going to tell you why. Because so oftentimes when we're done with something, we like, can y'all move on? We tired of hearing it. It's other stuff to talk about, so forth and so on. We tired of that. But let me say this to you. Maybe that's the problem with society, is that we always want people to move on and not talk. We always want people to move on and not express what's going on with them. And then when the expression comes out, the way that Will's expression came out yesterday, then we want to go back and talk about retroactively. Oh my God, we should have been listening. Oh my goodness, there's some mental health. We need to take these seriously, all that good stuff. But you're the very people who are telling people to be quiet when they have something to say. If nothing else, allow this to bring awareness to multiple issues. Allow it to bring awareness to the alopecia community, for which I have several close friends and family that are a part of that community. Also help this to bring awareness to mental health, to the fact that this starts not just from adulthood, but as children, when we tell our children, be quiet, this ain't the time to talk. We don't want to hear that. You don't need to say all of that. Keep this secret. Don't talk about this. There is so much here. So I just want us, and I get it.
Very passionate.
Because you know why? Because
you are in this thing.
I'm gonna tell you why I'm gonna tell you why I feel the way that I feel about this. Because I look at it and I realize that this is part of, to me, this is my perspective, is that that very thing is part of the problem. We've been talking about this since last night. You woke up to it and people are like, oh my God, I'm tired of looking at it. But guess what? Some of these people who posting this been on block for 30 days and they don't even know it, because guess what? We get tired of your content too, but we don't tell you to stop posting what you want to post on your page. We just move on. We just be like, oh Lord, there they go again posting about gin and juice, or there they go again posting about XYZ. Heck, I'm sure people get tired of me posting what I post about my business and about my jewelry and about other stuff. But guess what? Keep moving. You're not gonna be able to come and tell me stop posting about what I want to post about. So I think that we should stop shunning people who have an expression or who have an opinion about this topic. Now, if they had done this in private, then it ain't our business. But guess what? They did it in a public forum. It happened in public, and we're going to talk about it in public. Stop telling people to stop talking about it. Okay. All right.
You got stuck on that. You got that out?
I got it out.
Good.
Whew. All right, moving on.
Let's go back to what we're supposed to be talking about.
That is what we're talking about. Because
you just went on a rush. You went off of the boat on people.
Because it leads to this very thing.
Okay.
Is that I believe that what we saw last night was an outward expression or manifestation of things that have been brewing for a very long time. And I believe that for a very long time, he may have possibly felt that he was in a place where he could not express those things, because believe it or not, we create images for people. This is how we look at you. He is revered, he is unstained, all of this, his character is this and that. So we put people in a box. We put ourselves in a box, not just people in Hollywood, but we put our family in a box. We put our children in a box. You got to get all A's. Your husband and your wife is in a box. This is how the perfect wife looks. This is how the perfect husband looks. Like, we box people in, and we don't let people get out the very thing that they need to release. And then when it sits and gets pressed down and pressed down and pressed down, then all of a sudden it comes out, and now we have something to say. So that's all I was saying. I feel like all of what we saw was him being shunned and told to move on when he needed to really be able to express what was going on. Okay, now I'm done. I can scratch that one off. All right, go ahead, babe. What you got to say?
I like to bring our guests in.
All right, let's do that.
So I would like to.
I can scratch this off because I had something to say. Go ahead, babe.
I'd like for you to introduce our guest tonight.
All right, our guests on tonight, I've known her since I was a teenager. I don't know if I was 15 or 16, but I have known her since I was a teenager. So this is probably over almost 30 years. And hey, Justin. Hey, you guys. And so she has been around us for a very, very long time. She is one of my business partners, a woman of wisdom. She is married with adult children and now grandchildren, and she has a wealth of wisdom. I believe that she has worked in the mental health profession. Yep, she's worked in the mental health profession. And so there's some things that she can share with us tonight. Plus, she is a wife. And there are some things that we want to talk about from that perspective as husband and wife. So please welcome into the room, Mrs. Regina Turner.
Hello.
Hello. Listen, we're going to jump right into this. I'm sure you have a very, some good perspectives. I want to start off with just. I want to start off with a couple. We're going to jump right into this. We're going to jump right into.
Okay.
Hey, this is uncut, unfiltered. Okay. So this is uncut. You gotta stay in the frame, babe.
Hey, Lauren, thanks for coming in. You guys come on into the room. Listen, and please feel free. Let me say this before you say something, Regina. Hey, this is a safe space, guys, and like, there you can speak your mind, whether we agree or not. That's not what this is about tonight. This is about having a healthy conversation about something that we saw all across the world, and we want people to feel like this is a space and a format where you can come in and share that and express why you feel that way, and let's talk about it. All right, go ahead.
So Lauren, for those who don't know, Lauren is part of my I2 family.
What's
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
So I want to ask. I'm gonna jump right into this, this Regina, and I'm gonna ask you a couple questions. Okay.
Yeah.
So the first question I want to ask you, I made this post last night, and I said, such a bad moment for our people. That was my. I said What's your thoughts on my statement? This was such a bad moment for our people.
Well, thank you first of all for having me. Thank you so much. Let me jump right back in. Because I said the same thing, brother. I said the same thing. And my thoughts behind that was, this was the first production, all Black production. What's his name? Will Packard was the first Black producer of the Academy Awards, this Oscar show, with the all Black production. A lot of firsts in here, a lot of firsts going on in the Academy Awards. It's the first for actually Will. And he did an outstanding job. He deserved it. He really did. But I said, it was going well. It was a lot of things I didn't like about it, the Oscars, but that's just my personal reference. Some of the jokes were not funny. I am not a fan of Chris Rock in the first place. His jokes is not funny to me. So I really wasn't a fan. But when Will got up and slapped him, the first thing that went through my mind was what you said. Such a bad imprint on not only the academy, but Black people. They expect this from us. Let's just be real. They expect us to react to something like that. I commend Chris Rock. He stood there. He was embarrassed. He was hurt. He stood there and he finished what he had to do. He finished what he had to do. So I commend him for that. It could have been an all-out brawl. Really could have been a brawl, and they shut the whole thing down, and that would have been a catastrophe and a mess. However, my second thought was what my sister said over here, Janine. I understand how we react to things. You know, I study psychology and all of that stuff, the way humans act and respond. But he responded out of hurt, pain, anger, all that other stuff bottled up in him because he was told to move on. So y'all exactly on point. Exactly on point. I'm sorry, I have to agree with her. I agree with you on yeah, it was an embarrassment. I felt embarrassed. I really did. I felt embarrassed that he would get up and do that. Just do that. But looking back at the tapes, now you got to look back. He laughed. He tried to play it off, but something inside him started to boil. When he looked over at his wife and she wasn't smiling, it was something in him that said, I got to do something. And I believe.
Let me speak to this. Let me just jump right in here if I can. I'm going back to the beginning. We're sitting on the couch. I'm working, doing some invoicing late on a Sunday evening, and all of a sudden she says, "What just happened? Like, is it something?" What you says? Is it a war show or something tonight? Like, what's going on? Because the internet just went nuts. Like, her phone time just stopped blowing up.
Well, it started with Beyonce because people started responding about Beyonce because, again, we weren't watching. So I saw Beyonce, and I said, am I missing something? Is there an award show or something on tonight? Antonio said, yes, the Oscars. I said, oh, okay, kept it moving. Then the next thing I know, it's did that just happen? Oh my God, he just smacked. And I was like, wait a minute, what happened? And so, of course, now we're jumping on. Go ahead, babe.
So we get on and we see it or whatever the case may be. And the first thing, you know, you think this got to be staged. It's like there's just no way possible that this human icon, this living legend called Will Smith, who has played countless roles, superheroes, one of the most well-renowned actors of color of anybody, not just color, but just actors, period, just literally walked on this stage and slapped them. That's just not happening. This has got to be staged. I thought that the open hand was just like a swat, like a straight acting move. Just did not see it. But when I saw the part where he began to curse, there is no level of acting that can portray that what came out of him. That thing was real. And I immediately started just grieving for my people. Because I'm like, on one of the world's biggest stages, we have just displayed black on black crime.
Yes.
Now I am tremendously.
Yes.
I can't. What I don't want to do is try to play what was going on in Will's head, what went on in Chris Rock's head, because nobody knows until they come out and talk about it. Nobody really knows.
No.
I'm speaking to it from a very elementary level. And going back to elementary school, if some bully or somebody started talking about your mama in the 4th, 5th grade, and your mama dead, and you haul off and punch him in the mouth because you just buried your mother last year or something, and haul off and punch him in the face, you're going to get suspended because he didn't touch you, right? He did not touch you. You're going to get suspended. You're going to get in trouble. Now, of course, there's some other things may happen, but at the end of the day, you're going to be the ones going to get in trouble, right or wrong.
Right.
And I'm just saying, like, there should be no level of you trying to put, and I know a lot of men ain't going to like this, you get to a point in a place where you're at that level, you walk on national TV and do that was appalling to me.
Let me say this. And and today I've spent a considerable amount of time today responding to comments, reading comments, looking at people's perspectives. And I think that there are several things that I saw today where I was like, you know what, I can see that part of what you're saying. I can see that, or I can understand that. One of the things that somebody said, and this was the first thing that you mentioned, is it was such a bad moment for our people. And so one of the questions that I want to ask is, does Will Smith represent all of us? And is that fair to him? Because the reality is that because the reality is that there are some people who feel like, why is it that Will Smith, because he's Black, somehow is responsible for carrying all of us on his shoulders? Is that
we're
fair
making him responsible though?
But
all the comment, listen.
But what I'm asking is, when we say things like such a bad moment for our people,
that was my statement.
I get it, but you're not the only person who said this, babe.
Okay.
You understand what I'm saying? I'm saying that this is resounding, that there are a lot of people who've made the comment that you've made.
Mm-hmm.
Is this was such a bad moment for our people? That's been a comment.
Mm-hmm.
People have made the same comment that Regina has made. I was embarrassed. People, there's so many comments that have been made specifically from the Black community about what he did and how it represented us as a whole. So my question is, was it really a bad moment for our people? Does he represent all of us? And is that fair to him to carry us in that manner, where it is every action that you take, you are representing every Black person that's out here in the world? Is that fair? Is that fair? Or does that add to some of the weight that he has been carrying, and some of the reason why he has held in so much and not responded? Because the expectation is that this is Will Smith. This is the character that we've given him, and this is the box that you need to stay in. Is that fair to him? So that's my question.
So let me
and listen, you guys, this is a question for everybody that's on this live. Like, is that his responsibility? I really want you guys to chime in, because I think that it's important that we hear multiple perspectives. And I've seen people say, he don't represent me. Because it's the same thing that if it were somebody else, or, somebody who wasn't doing right, if they were not him, let's just say a regular Joe Blow, or somebody else in the African American community or the Black community who maybe was not known for being upstanding, right? Then we say, well, they represent all of you, and we say he don't represent me. I don't wear my pants like that. I don't talk like that. I don't blah blah blah. So why is it that we don't want to be represented by some people, but we want to be represented by some people? Does that make sense? Some people, we okay, you represent us. But then if that was somebody else in the news, we'd be like, he don't represent me. I'm just saying, because we do that. So let's talk about that. I'd love to hear your perspective, babe, and your perspective as well, Regina. And you guys, please go ahead and light up those comments with where you at.
I think this is a moment in history that the NAACP, I'm gonna read something someone from the NAACP. Let me see if I can find it really quick. And just a sidebar, I know that several people expressed interest in actually coming on live to talk about this. If you do, just shoot me a message and I'll send you the actual link to come into the studio, actually be live with the comments. But let me find this real quick, and I think this is going to help me answer the question, and then.
Go ahead. Just keep going.
We don't do it like that though.
But it's okay, because I don't want comments to pass for things that they do pass for things that we talked about.
We got to get back on track and get the comments.
You just let me do what I just did.
Oh, you just stop that. Leave the comments alone. Thank you. You asked me a question.
Stop doing.
You okay?
Oh, you was about to get slapped.
Oh,
on national television.
You see what I'm talking about?
Please don't say the word slap.
You was about to get slapped on national TV.
You see what happened? Control your emotions.
On national TV.
Control your emotions.
I did. I put my hand right here, but you was about to get slapped.
You see? See how quick stuff escalate?
Come on. Carry on. Keep going.
How you pronounce that name?
Janae.
Let's first of all, what you're gonna do is take some of that bass out your voice. Bring it down a little bit. All right?
Come on.
Bring it down a little bit.
Come on.
I'm coming on, but you bring it down a little bit.
Oh my goodness.
President and director. She's the president and director of counsel for the NAACP, Legal Defense and Education Fund. She wrote this. She says, I know we're all still processing, but the way casual violence was normalized tonight by a collective national audience will have consequences that we cannot even fathom in the moment. That speaks to me, that's everything. Because no, does Will represent everybody? No. There's some people who don't even like Will Smith. There's people in the African American community, in the Black and brown who don't even like neither one of them. You got one person on the show right now who says, I don't even like Chris Rock. Okay, so no, they don't represent us, everybody. However, this moment in history, we're talking about a man protecting a woman. We're talking about there's a huge population of people saying he should protect his woman, his wife, because he came at her wrong. I mean, it's a situation that not necessarily people, but a situation that we're talking about here that happens a lot where women or men are supposed to protect their woman, right? But I think that it's a great area in there. We're not talking about Chris Rock coming off the stage and physically assaulting his woman.
Right.
We're not talking about physically coming off and putting his hands on her. We're talking about people, I said it earlier, to whom much is given, much is required. And first of all, we already know that comedians do things, say things, and do things that cross the lines. We already know, they already knew that that's just kind of the edgy stuff that Chris Rock does. That's why they brought him on the doggone show.
Right.
So you already know Chris Rock has a history of coming at your wife. Then but you can't control what they do. You only control what you do. Now, I'm going to be very transparent. I'm almost a Rock. What's the saying? The Rock, what's the Rock, Regina? With the Rock throwing the kettle or something, the pot calling the kettle
black.
The pot calling the kettle black?
Yeah, the pot calling the kettle.
Where you get rocks from?
The pot calling the kettle black. Because recently, I've had a situation where I almost lost it. Recently. And it would have been very, very bad because somebody said something about my wife, not even to her, about her. They didn't know that I heard them, and I almost literally lost it.
That's good, Aisha.
You hear me? Mm-hmm. But I had to catch myself before I actually lost it. Yeah. I did confront the person. I did say something, but I realized this was not the right place or the right time because this is gonna go left, and somebody gonna find me on the news. Real talk. Yep. Now, I'm going to talk about that a little bit later, but to answer your question, I think it's not so much that we represent the whole Black community, but I think it's the situation representing the Black community, representing Black on Black crime, representing being a protector, representing controlling your emotions. I think it's so many situations that this thing revolves around, and it ain't just Black, it's about men and women, period.
Yes.
But we got a lot of comments. Let's go to the comments.
Regina, let me hear Regina real quick on if you think he represents all Black people.
No, I don't believe he represents all Black people, but he represents. He represents. Okay. He's in a place where he has to represent who he is, where he's coming from, the whole situation. Not cool. It was not cool.
All right. Come on now, listen. When you hear of a serial killer or somebody done some major crime on TV, come on, let's be honest, y'all. What's the first thing you think in your head? I hope he not
Black.
Mm-hmm. The first thing when somebody went off and killed people and done something really foolish.
Why is it?
We hope it's not, because our people have We have such
because
a
there's
stain.
such a stereotype about
Yes,
who
a
we
stereotype and a stain.
are. Okay.
Exactly.
Not stereotype. I disagree with the stereotype. I'm talking
It's a
in this
stereotype.
context.
No, it
I'm
is.
saying in this context, I'm saying to my point of when we hear on the news that somebody just did something horrific that hurt a lot of people, the first thing people say, I know I do, I speak for me, I hope it's not a black person.
That's what we're saying. We're agreeing with you. We understand.
Yeah,
and
we agree.
And we understand what you're saying. And we're still saying it's because in the world that we live in, we don't want to be stereotyped into being those type of people. That's what we're saying. All right, let's hit the
room for us.
Let's go to the comments. Let's reset the room. Listen, guys, this is Conversation with the Ghostins, Antonio and Ascenta Ghostin. Thank you all so much for watching. Make sure that you like, share, comment, and subscribe. We are having a healthy conversation about what we all saw all across the world on last night's Oscars between Will Smith and Chris Rock. Listen, there's been so much conversation about it today.
All day, I'm sure.
It's been so much conversation about it today. And I started the show off by saying, listen, please, first and foremost, stop telling people to move on, because that's part of the problem, is that we don't allow people to express what they're feeling, what's going on. Again, some people have been triggered by what happened yesterday. You have women who have responded and said, I've never felt protected. So for me, I appreciated what he did, because in some sense, it made me feel like this is what a man should do, or a black man particularly should do, to protect his woman. You have people who have come out who have alopecia, who have spoken about that, who are bringing awareness about that. So we need to give each other the opportunity to express what we're feeling, to express whether you like the opinion or not. It's that we need to respect one another's opinion. So that's what we're talking about today. So hashtag the Ghostins. Please, this is an open forum. So make sure that you're posting in the comments. If you have something to say, definitely go ahead and post it in there. Join our YouTube channel, Conversation with the Ghostins. If you're watching the replay, hashtag the Ghostins or hashtag CWTG. So let's go to the comments really quickly. We got some good comments that came in. The first comment was from Corinne Davis. Corinne said, we cannot make one person or their actions represent all of Black Americans, because what we're seeing across the board is so many people are saying he represented all of us and it was a bad representation of us. And then you have people who feel differently, who feel like, no, why are we putting the weight and responsibility on him to represent all of us, which I can agree with, right? I don't want anybody telling me that I represent every of this, because it's not fair. It's the same way that people feel like, it's the same.
I disagree with that, though.
Because we can take that to multiple communities. Like if it applies here, then it applies everywhere else. Like, so we supposed to represent now. I'm not gonna go off into no other tangents. What I will say is I'll stick here, right? Because I can go. We'll stick here. There are people who just simply do not feel like that should be his responsibility to represent the entire Black community.
Yeah, let's take that off the table. Let's take that off. Let's take that off the table for a moment. I mean let's take that debate part off the table for a moment. Okay. And just address. I was utterly shocked at the fact that when he won the Oscar, that people was literally in that room standing up.
Let's go to that in a minute. Let's get through these comments. No, because what you're saying is good, but I think we're jumping past kind of what we were saying at the moment, if you don't mind. Okay, great. Okay. Someone else said, all jokes ain't funny. Just as Will should be professional, then Chris Rock should have too. Will is human. The joke was in poor taste, and it's probably been building up since 2016 when he joked about Jada back then. So I've been saying this. I've been seeing this spin about it as well. And I think, honestly, for me, I don't necessarily think that they've been holding on for 6 years about a joke that was made back then. I don't think that this was personally, I do not think that this was targeted at Chris Rock. I feel like in our lives, Antonio and I, we've been very transparent about moments in our lives where we were struggling as husband and wife, and none of that happened overnight. There was one situation that was the straw that broke the camel's back. That situation wasn't the issue. That issue had been building up for years.
Yeah.
And so I don't believe that it was specifically Chris Rock. And I read somewhere where somebody said that I read somewhere where somebody was saying that basically Chris Rock basically took that slap for everybody that Will could never smack.
There you go.
He took it for everybody else because they're friends. If you look at, and we'll get to that later, the apologies, but if you look at the apologies, he referenced them as my friends. I believe that they were friends, and Chris Rock is not the only person that made jokes. And again, I don't think that it's been 6 years worth of holding on to what he said. I believe that that's a narrative that we're spinning because we're trying to make sense of what's going on. And I don't deny whether he appreciated the joke back then or not, because the joke was actually about Will. You know, it was about both of them, actually. If you go back and listen to the joke in 2016, it was about Jada, and then it was about Will getting paid for doing Wild Wild West. So it was jokes about both of them on both hands. So let me do this. Can I do this last comment? Ray, I'm gonna let you talk. You said go to the comments. Go ahead, sweetie. Okay, you should write it down. That's why I brought paper. Okay, on that platform, it has taken us a long time to get there, especially for Will Packer, a Black man. Will Smith fed into the stereotype of angry Black man. He should have talked to him off the air. He doesn't represent every Black man, but he has added to the stereotype of the Black man. As a matter of fact, there have only been 5 Black men in the 92 years that the Oscars have been around that have won an Oscar. 92 years, only 92 years, only 5 Black men. Will Smith was the 5th Black man to have ever won this award. And I've heard this too, right? So what do you guys feel about this? And I want you to say what you have to say.
I don't remember.
Okay, write it down, babe. So again, this is, so again, we talked about the stereotype. I need you to go get your own paper. This is my paper, sweetheart. Okay. So again, we talked about the stereotype. Like, is he just buying into that, right? That angry Black man? Because apparently we angry Black people, because it's angry Black women, angry Black men. Like, can we just not be angry? The other part of this too, is I want to say this too, is that Antonio, you mentioned something. You talked about Black on Black crime. And I saw somebody say, I think that somebody just talked about how we have to stop saying that as if crime is okay. Right? Like, instead of being Black on Black crime, can we just say that it was a crime against a person? Like, it just shouldn't have happened. Like, where did we get this? Is Black on Black versus Black on White versus white on white versus, like, I'm not sure, but I think that that's another thing. Okay, so let me keep going. He's over there doing something. I don't know. If it is a stereotype, because there are certain crimes that we see and say, oh, that was not us. Then there are things that come out and we say, oh, that was one of us. Yes, it's a stereotype. Absolutely. I agree. Oh, I know it was you, Stacy. Hey, Stacy. Sometimes words can hurt a lot more than being smacked. Okay. Let me, I know you said that you couldn't remember what you wanted to say.
What I want to say is this.
Okay.
What I want to say is that I think people should. We have another guest in the room. We're going to bring you in a moment. I honestly do think that you can find some good out of every situation. And the Word of God says, we talk about it in the Bible that what the enemy went for bad, God to get the glory out of it.
Yes.
And I do believe that there's going to be a lot of good that's going to come out of this, because it's going to open up the conversation.
What's up, Lehman? It's
going to open up the conversation of the mental health again. It's going to open up the conversations of childhood traumas. It's going to open up the conversation of happiness and all those things, and protection, all that stuff it's going to do. I think what's being lost in this situation for me, which angers me in this situation, and we got some comments from YouTube from my cousin Greg, but what really is frustrating me a little bit, even tonight in this conversation, is how many young Black men are in that same situation that Will was in, where somebody was giving him the business and he did not represent how they should handle themselves. And again, it may not be his responsibility.
Great segue.
It may not be his responsibility, but the fact that he is in the public eye, in my personal opinion, absolutely
do mirror what they see.
Absolutely do. So now it's like, well, if he can go smack somebody, when my teacher does not do something I want to say something to me out of pocket, I'm smacking my teacher. Yeah. I'm smacking this person. Yeah. And so I do think in the fact that there was no immediate legal ramifications of it. I mean, there are people that's in jail right now because they just lost it. They got tired of being bullied, got tired of being exposed. They're in jail right now and serving. People have been killed. Yeah. And again, I'm just saying, how can we have to hold each other accountable? I think this was a moment that it went bad, but it could also have been immediate. I feel like if Will would have apologized when he got on that mic and said, I blew it. I messed up, y'all. Yes. I lost it. But he did not take that moment. And all the people in that place celebrated that, and that hurt my heart. Yeah, let me say this. We gotta bring the guests in.
Yes. Okay. Well, go ahead, sweet.
What you said was a great segue. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Sweet.
We're having a challenge, a little bit of a rough time this evening. What's going on?
No, we're not having a challenge. Go ahead, sweetie. Don't do that. Okay, babe. All right. So listen.
Listen, y'all know us by now.
Y'all should know.
Uncut, unfiltered,
real conversation. Okay, including what happened.
We got the doctor in the background. I can't let the doctor be in the background too long.
Let me say this. And Greg is hitting some points that will help carry this through.
Okay.
But I saw a lot of people posting that Will acted like a real man should. And I think that I think for me, I said it made me stop and question two things. One, why was Will acting as
Will was a bully? I'm sorry.
Okay.
I need to get that out.
Okay.
I need to get that was a bully move when Will popped. I'm sorry.
All right.
I need to get that out. I feel better now.
That's why he had to go to West Philadelphia.
Okay. You know what? So number one, why was Will acting as a real man? But why don't we give Chris Rock's response the same same respect?
Exactly.
Why are we not saying that Chris Rock acted like a real man because he did not respond? People are considering him a punk. The memes are coming out like, well, no. A lot of people are like, you don't hear people saying let me say it was half and half as I started reading, but early on, a lot of people were like, Will responded like a real man should. A real man should should protect his woman, XYZ. You had a lot of women saying, if you can't protect me like Will did, then I don't want you, so forth and so on. And there are some people who came out publicly and said, if you want your man to protect you like that, you don't want to be with her. Men, if this is a man who said this. Men, if you have a woman who tells you they want you to protect them like Will protected Jada, that's not the woman that you want to be with. You understand what I'm saying?
You have never told me or never like, man, go smack him or anything. Now, I know women who have done that before.
Yeah.
I know women who have been like, he said something to me, I need you to go beat him down.
Yeah.
But you have never done that. But those moments where I've had situations where things got a little whatever.
Right.
You did feel some kind of way about it, like you felt empowered.
No. When I found out what happened, I just was kind of like, oh, like what happened, right? I don't know
some more than that.
Don't try to make me say what I felt. I don't know that I was like, good job, babe. I don't know that it was that. Like, I don't remember everything that happened in that moment. Don't look at me like this, because see, now you're trying to make yourself feel better about the fact that you stood up for me. I appreciate I'm not trying to do you. No.
You about to cut this camera off and have a conversation.
No. I'm not trying to do you. I felt like you were trying to lead me into saying what I felt, and what I'm saying.
Well, I'm not putting your words in your mouth, but you have said very specifically. I mean, we call Lehman on the phone right now. If you want to.
He on here.
You said a couple times how you felt about when you, because I didn't even tell you what happened.
Correct.
I wasn't even the person that told you what went down.
Right.
Some other people told you what went down.
Yes.
And you had some very animated things to say about it.
I did. Yes. I don't remember.
We are on child. Yes. Okay. But it's okay though. So don't play me like
I'm not trying to play you.
I'm definitely not trying to be.
Excuse us one moment.
Talk amongst yourselves for a minute.
Yeah.
I'm definitely not trying, because I don't need nobody to stroke my ego. I'm good on that.
Good.
So I don't need. No. So that's not the point.
I didn't want to be led.
I wasn't leaving.
I felt a
but I
little
was trying
led.
to jog your memory because
Right, but I'm telling you that in this moment, I don't remember what I said.
That's fine. Move on.
That's all I'm saying.
We got a guest to get in the room.
Baby, it be real stuff over here. My God.
So listen, I have the honor of bringing in a good friend of mine. He is no stranger to the conversation with the ghosts.
Jesus, that was rough.
Conversation with the ghosts room. I have a tremendous. He's a comedian actually, but I have a tremendous amount of respect for him. Because he's a doctor. He's a 30-year career educator. He's been in counseling. So he is very well versed in dealing with a lot of different personalities. He's trained in this way. He's also the bishop now.
Just gonna push my hand.
That's my joke to him. But help us welcome to the room, Minister Dr. Frank McKnight III.
Hey, listen. Listen, glad to be here, and this has been a hot topic. I've been talking about it all day.
Yeah.
I know,
and
right?
I love the comments and everything that has gone forth. But listen, I believe that Will Smith should be stripped of his Oscar for his behavior on last night.
Wow.
In 2017, the Academy Award came up with a code of conduct. And the first line in that code of conduct says that there is no place in the Academy for people who abuse their status, power, or influence in a manner that violates recognized standards of decency. Then go down further in reading the Academy's code of conduct. It opposes any forms of abuse, harassment, discrimination on the basis of gender, sexual orientation, and race and all of that. And those are the standards. Will Smith violated those standards.
Yes, he did.
Because he violated those standards, there has to be some repercussion.
Wow.
And I am of the belief that he should be stripped of his Oscar title for that.
Wow.
Even King Richard said in an article today that he was very disappointed that occurred on such a great momentous night.
Yes.
So I believe some type of repercussion, and I know I may get a lot of flack for that, and people have already commented on some of the things I've said in other posts, but something has to take place because you don't want a standard set. And anytime I say something that you don't like, I can walk up on stage and slap you, you know?
Yeah.
And so I think something harsh needs to happen. Thank God Chris Rock did not press charges because he could have,
Absolutely.
And
he could have.
Can I say something right there to the charge thing? I honestly, I'm glad he didn't.
Right.
I don't know. I don't know where. I don't know personally myself. I am glad that he didn't. And I know I make we sound like coming from a weak standpoint on this thing, but I'm glad he didn't because I think it would have done more damage to our community than the guys actually. First of all, spiritually, the Bible talks about turning the other cheek.
Yes.
That from a spiritual standpoint. Yeah. The Bible talks about turning the other cheek. He did not respond with physical violence. He actually apologized. He not really apologized, but he said, "Hey, I won't do it no more." Right there on the spot, unscripted. He said, "I will not." Basically, I will keep your wife's name out of my mouth if that's what you really want.
Right?
Done.
Yeah, he did.
So I respect that, and the fact that he's not pressing charges to me, and clearly they're going to deal with it behind the scenes, deal with it, in some other manner. But I'm glad he did because now you got to deal with this man going to jail. It was just a lot.
Yeah. And it could have blown out. But
I've never been a huge Chris Rock fan. I commend how he handled that situation.
But and I do applaud Chris Rock. And the question I had is, where was everybody? Why didn't they rally around Chris Rock? Why didn't they go see how he was doing?
Right.
When everybody
I heard that they did. I heard that there were people who I heard that there were people who did rally around Chris. And there were also people who went and rallied around Will. Like it was like you had people who were on both sides. Let me say this because here is a comment that was left by someone. It says sometimes words can hurt a lot more than being slapped. And I do agree, but let me be very, very clear about this. is that number one, there are a lot of things that we would have to assume about what Chris Rock said or why he said it. Number one,
right.
And don't get me wrong, either way you try to spin it, it was a tasteless comment. And I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. Number
Most
one,
jokes they do is tasteless.
Let me tell you why this particularly, okay? Number one, I do not believe that he was making fun of her medical condition or illness.
Right.
I do not believe that in any part of that, right? So a lot of people are saying making fun of alopecia is not, and I'm like, hold on. Number one, we would have to assume that he even knew that she had alopecia. And you have people like, she's been very vocal. Wonderful. Well, somebody made a point to me. Celebrities are not necessarily in other celebrities' business because because they're busy being celebrities. We, the people, are in celebrities' business because we want to see what's going on in your lives, right? But everybody is not in celebrities. Celebrities are not necessarily in each other's business like that. And so the other thing is, I didn't know that she had alopecia. And so how do we cannot assume that he knew that she had alopecia. That's number one. However, the fact that as African-American women and men over the recent years, we have been extremely scrutinized for our hair. We have been scrutinized for wearing our hair natural as women. We have been scrutinized for not having long, flowy, if your hair is curly, kinky, all of that stuff. For which this man, Chris Rock, did an entire movie about the woes of Black women's hair. I just think that from that perspective, that I don't think it was about the alopecia, but from the perspective of mentioning G.I. Jane and you saying it was just a joke, blah, 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 but you talked about her hair. And in this climate of society right now, real talk, it's so much stuff that we're dealing with our hair. Period. Whether you are male or female, if you are African-American, if your hair ain't cut low, if you ain't got straight hair, it is unacceptable in certain environments and communities. So I just think from that perspective, it just wasn't a good joke regardless. But I do not think in any way that he was joking about her illness or that particular problem. Okay. Let me hit a couple of these comments and then we'll definitely come back to the conversation. Greg made a very, very good point. Good evening, Greg. He said it does strengthen. So we're talking about what happened. It does strengthen the firmly held belief, but not publicly discussed, that Black folks lack dignity, ceremony, and formality, right? We debate this nonsense of cultural representation while missing the much larger problem. So sad, right? Because I'm sorry, his comments are continual. So hold on. So sad. Any woman who would ask her man engage in physical violence because of a non-threatening verbal something as protection should be left alone and horsewhipped. Now we ain't horsewhipping nobody. Now this is our cousin. We love him dearly. So sad. Black women. Okay, this is what he said. Oh wait, no, this is another part. So sad. Black women arguing the point of protection, physical violence because somebody said something, absurdity beyond the need for discussion. It's just so sad. And for this, I do agree. As a woman, as a wife, I don't want my husband to protect me in that way. Okay. And I'm not crazy. Let me explain why. Will was in a protected, controlled environment.
Yes.
With other people of dignity, class, certain standards. Okay. I'm sure that people were searched. I'm sure that there was some type of guarantee that this is going to be a safe environment, XYZ. If you live on Halsted, and you go up and you pimp slap somebody because they said something to your wife, that may be the last time that you pimp slap anybody because you may be killed. People don't respond the way that in the street, people don't respond like Chris Rock responded, right? And so I think that when we say things like, I want my man to protect me, to Greg's point, I want you to protect me by exacting physical violence upon somebody for a non-violent. It wasn't violent. It was words. Not that they were right, because I don't believe that it was a good joke, period. But to exact physical violence and then say that's how you protect me. The issue is that in the real world, the very person who is protecting you or that you want to protect may lose their life. So now where's your protection?
Right.
Are you telling me I want you to protect me to the death because somebody stepped on my toe, or because somebody called my shirt ugly, or because somebody said something to me? I think that we have to think beyond it. And I agree with Greg when he says that is absurdity. And I understand that. And I said this at the top of the show, is that different women are triggered by different things. There are women who absolutely feel like they were not protected in life by the men who should have protected them from whatever that was. And so for them, this was an outward production of what they would have wanted for their lives at certain moments and opportunities of their lives. But for me, I looked at this and I said to myself, there are people who are dead because they were protecting somebody.
Yeah.
There
Right.
are people who are incarcerated because they were protecting somebody. Now, the very people that they were protecting are uncovered. They're unprotected. How does that make it a win-win for anybody? We have to learn how to deal with and process our anger and how we feel a different way. And I'm not saying, and so for me, I feel like I commend Chris Rock for how he stood his ground and how he responded.
Yeah.
And to some extent, honestly, I can commend Will for feeling like I need to protect her. However, in this moment, I believe very strongly, and people started raising up the fact that he talked about in his book how he felt helpless growing up, not being able to protect his mother, and not, there were things. This is even before him and Jada. I also believe that this is a build up, and so it's that. And then you get married. This is your second marriage. Things happened in your first marriage. I don't really know a lot about that, but then in your second marriage, your wife literally has allowed you to be uncovered for a long time. There are things in business of their own that they have put out in the streets for us to see, for us to respond to, for us to talk about. Like, you put it out there to say, hey, let's talk about it. Let's have a conversation. I have not seen, and it's unfortunate, but I have not seen her cover him. I have seen her say things, put it out there. And I've heard people talk about emasculation, all of that, whatever it is. But I feel like that man, I do believe that man loved that woman with some kind of love that, baby, you don't really see a lot of no more. But I believe that he has been trying to cover her. I also believe that some of this was ego. I believe that he was just tired of maybe feeling like he keeps getting punked for things. And I think it's just a lot of stuff. But I just want us to understand the conditioning that we have in our minds of feeling like, number one, like somehow that was okay. Like somehow that's protecting me. And I know that people don't want to talk about the whole black and white issue, but if that were a different type of comedian up there, I think that Will knew wise enough who he could take, if you will, because if it was somebody else up there, I think that it would have been very different. At the end of the day, I just strongly believe that it was more than just I'm protecting her. And I would, again, never want my husband to protect me in that way, especially when it's not a physical attack. Now, if it's a physical attack, do what you got to do.
Yeah.
Do what you got to do to protect your family. But in that case, I didn't see that it was necessary for that to be the response.
Right. And then the sad thing about it too was I saw where Will Smith's son tweeted, "This is how we do it."
Right.
Oh, wow.
And I thought that was just, so what example are you setting for young people and other people? And, which I like what you said, Regina, he doesn't represent me. But again, people look up to him. And so when they see him doing that, then it's okay for me to approach it. To your point, Cynthia, you said this, which is so true. Ricky Smiley and a couple of other comedians said they didn't know that she had it, meaning that they're so involved in what they're doing, they didn't know that Jada had, alopecia.
Yeah.
And so, to your point, everybody doesn't know what's going on. And so I would assume that, Chris Rock probably did not know,
Yeah. Let me read this comment. Oh, go ahead, Regina. Go ahead.
Wanted to get in on the protection. And Bishop, I agree with you wholeheartedly. There should be some repercussions.
Yeah.
Hard repercussions. Yes.
Wow.
I didn't think about taking the Oscar away, maybe just banning him from the awards a couple of years or something like that.
Yeah,
But
something.
something like that. Something should happen. But I want to speak on the protection. I've been married 44 years. 44 years. Maybe I should go get my husband. But I've been married 44 years. And when I saw him get up and actually slap Chris and said that he was protecting her, that word hit my spirit. And I'm gonna tell you this. I'm gonna just be real and transparent. If Janine don't know me, that I'm very transparent. But I was pregnant. This has been many, many years ago. My baby's 38 now, so it's had to been over 38 years. Okay. I was pregnant and we were out with my family, long story short, and this man was harassing me. Now, this is young in my marriage. This is not the mature marriage. This is young in my marriage. And this man was harassing me and harassing me. I'm sitting with a big belly and everything, if you can imagine that. And he's just harassing me, trying to pick me up. My husband's sitting right here. Now, this really got to me because my husband did not say anything. He did not speak up at the time, and we've hashed this out over the years, but he did not say anything. He just listened to the man harass me. Now, I can handle myself, and I know Jada can handle herself. She probably would have said to Will, I'm okay, baby. You know, we'll take care of this later. I don't know, but he looked at the look on her face, and that's what gave his reaction. But my husband did not, I felt like he did not protect me and cover me in that situation. I felt like that. And it started a big ruckus in my family because the rest of my family was there watching to see what was going to happen. Well, I politely told the man off. I don't have a problem with getting rid of people, but I told the man off. And then I turned to my husband. I said, you did not cover me. I uncovered him, okay? You did not cover me. This man is harassing me. Now my uncles and everybody is getting on my husband. And then my husband looked at me and said, he didn't touch you. From that day forward, my idea of protection was different. My idea was different.
Can you say more about that?
Yeah, because I didn't think, he was going to beat the man up, but I thought he should have stepped in and said, hey, man, leave my wife alone. But what he said to me, and I was angry. I was really angry about that. And last night I thought about that. I was really angry. I said,
that was some years ago.
That was years ago.
Wow.
This had to be, I don't want to go give him my age.
My point was like, it was still a trigger, but it was years.
Still a trigger. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
to
we
go
talked
back
about
to
that
where
earlier.
we started in the beginning. I don't know if you want to go back there.
No, we talked about triggers. How this is triggers for different people.
Because that triggered that incident. And I said, you did not cover me. But he looked at me and he said, he didn't touch you. I got my eyes on you. He did not touch you. But he was harassing me. You should have said something. I'm being me. You should have said something. Yes, I can take care of myself. I can do this. But he said he didn't touch you.
Yeah.
Had he touched me, okay, yeah, you do what you got to do. We didn't want to get into a fight down there anyway, but he didn't touch me. And my perception of covering me was different. So I said, so if he had to touch me, you'd have covered me in a different way. But why? I said all that to say this. Why did that trigger me last night? Because that's something that's set in my mind unresolved from way back when that I just let go by. And I believe, not surmising what Will was going through, what he's thinking, but it was a trigger to make that man get up in the middle of his lifetime achievement award and slap somebody on national TV.
Yeah.
It was a trigger. So you got to talk about those triggers that are unresolved in lives.
Absolutely. We definitely will. Definitely will.
Mhm.
Somebody made a comment and said, this is very deep. I'm really concerned about his mental health because of all the drama from his marriage that has been broadcasted worldwide. And we talked about that earlier, how none of this was not a one-time thing, meaning in that moment it wasn't just what he said. It wasn't just that moment. This has been compressed and compressed and compressed. It's like a jack in the box. It's only so much pressure that Jack in the Box can take until pop, pop goes the weasel. So this was his blow up moment. And what I think is so, and we talked about it earlier, but we talked about triggers and why this platform today is this conversation is just a healthy conversation, that nobody's opinion is right, nobody's opinion is wrong. It is simply your opinion, and whatever that may be, because again, everybody is looking at this from a different vantage point. Everybody is looking at this from a different perspective. I am by nature non-confrontational. If someone said something, I get a little. Believe it or not, you guys, I'm very, very peaceful, okay? Very, very peaceful.
Outside?
Inside. But what I'm saying is that absolutely, when I was younger, I always used to say, if a man called me a B, I want you to whoop his tail. But the reality is that was almost 17. I'm talking about when we first got married, right? That was 17 years ago. The world itself was very different 17 years ago. People would scrap it out and be done. You get in your car, we going home. It's not the world that we live in anymore. It wouldn't have made it right. But that was young. That was young, immature me. I honestly feel like as a woman, she could have pulled him aside and said, we're not doing that. We're not doing that. Why are we not doing that? Not because you're a punk and not because it was okay with what he said. But what I will say is this. How many of us remember that Will Smith actually won the award?
Yes.
Yeah.
The conversation today is not that he won the award. The conversation today is not that Samuel L. Jackson won something. The conversation today is not about Will Packer. We're not looking at this in the positive. Everybody is looking at this like the one thing even on the news channels all over the world, everybody is talking about the smack. Has anybody stopped to think about the category for which that Chris Rock came up to represent, how that person who won the Oscar felt about their moment? How they felt about their moment. And so again, we have to look at this from this perspective, that this was, you can say what you will, it is mental health. And there are levels to this, and both of our guests can speak to this as well. But there are different levels of mental health issues. There are things that we deal with in a mild form, and there are things that we deal with in extreme form. I think that Will has been dealing with some things since childhood. Nothing that we're talking about is new. This is stuff that he talks about and discusses in his book. And then now we're seeing this carried over into marriage, and this man feeling like I have to protect and protect and protect, because it's almost like he's trying to make up for the years that he wasn't able to do it here. And then for years on years on years on years on years, he's been trying to protect and cover people seemingly possibly failing. There's been so much scrutiny about his family, about it's just and again, because y'all put y'all stuff out there. Like we just talk about what y'all put out there. And and I understand that you've been smiling and nodding, but we're not the ones that's doing it. This is what's happening in your own house. So, let me hit a couple of comments, and then I do have some questions. Someone said, my brother, as Black people, we absolutely know we cannot afford to take on the Donald Trump Caucasian attitude because he did it, now we can. Right. I got what you're saying. Because he did it, now we can. I understand people mirror other behavior, but we still live in this America and know the rules for Black and white are not always the same. And so many people, when people brought out the conversation, because the conversation was going to come out about whether or not if he was a white comedian and Will hit him, or if it were Chris Rock and a white person came up and hit him, if things would be different. And the reality is that it absolutely would have been different. And we can try to be sweet about it and sugarcoat it, but it would be different. And it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate that it would be, but it would be different.
I have just a sidebar question.
Yeah, bet.
If that was Dwayne The Rock up there hosting, he made that joke.
No.
Or Steve Harvey.
Or Steve Harvey.
Or even little Shorty, what's his name? He was
Kevin Hart.
Kevin Hart.
Listen, my question was this: when Will had have walked up there and smacked, and I'm saying, you gonna get to your list?
Go ahead. I got it. Go ahead.
It's not funny, but yeah.
And because I'm saying that because I think, honest to goodness, I think it was very calculated.
Yeah.
It was more calculated than it was spontaneous.
I can handle
just being honest.
Yeah.
You think so?
Because you said control the environment.
Yeah.
If you notice, I didn't cue all the videos because y'all have seen it 100 times, so I ain't got to do it. But if you notice, when he slapped him and he walked away with a smile on his face, the smirk, he was looking at the corner of his eye like, is he gonna come at me?
Amanda said something very interesting.
Think about that now.
Yeah.
Now, most people would have walked up, and when they smacked them, most men would have said, and keep my wife name out your, would have said something at that moment.
Right.
Seat.
Yeah.
And said something.
Well,
that's a huge difference.
Well, it could have been a choreographed kerfluffle. We don't know.
No, I'm not talking. No. I'm not saying it was real. It's like 100% real. I'm saying in Will's mind, I believe that was more thought out than it was spontaneous.
Yeah.
It may have been
that's what I'm saying.
A little bit,
It may have been
it wasn't just all of a sudden he snapped and responded. I think that brother, I think all of that went into play. But I want to say that to my guests, Dr. Frank and Regina. If you guys got to drop, I know you guys got to go. Please do so. I know, Frank, you got some things you're dealing with over there. Just let us know. Give us a nod, and we'll you exit out into the green room. But stay with us as long as you can.
Okay.
I just want you guys to know you need to go. It's not a problem whatsoever. Yeah. Go ahead. We're gonna be about another 15 minutes.
And that's it. Yep. Somebody said that crazy woman Jada is to blame for all of this. Now listen.
The red table.
Listen, somebody said this. Somebody said it's that red table talk.
Red table talk.
Lehman said he think that's a bit much, Bishop. Don't want to strip the man of his Oscar.
Talking about the Oscar. But can we sit there for a minute?
Suspension.
Can we sit there for a minute? Just for a minute. I didn't know that they had guidelines.
Absolutely, they do.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Now, if they have guidelines, should the rules be bent for him?
No,
I don't think that the rules should be bent. But you know that's also something for me where I believe in the rules and the regulations. Yeah. I don't believe they should have been bent. But this is where I have where I have issue. I have issue with the fact that you allowed him to accept the award. If I feel like if he, and I know it was a short term and a lot of things happened in a fast moment or whatever, but it was 45 minutes later. I feel like you all could have, y'all have 45 minutes to move past that award and maybe go to something else. It's a lot. They already know.
Well, I read a statement and maybe Dr. Frey, you can back me up on this. I read a statement that they literally discussed that they came together immediately discuss what was the next move. Should they remove him from the actual crowd? And should he carry on with the show the way it was? They actually talked about it.
Yeah, they talked about it, and they also met today, and they said the meeting was very heated as to which way they were going to move. And even though they did have security there, but it was lax because of that environment. You don't need no heavy security. Now, if it was the hip hop awards and all of that, you would need it. But for this, security was kind of laid back. So it wasn't a situation where security was going to jump in and really do anything, because that was so unexpected. And that's something that just does not happen, at the Oscars. So,
yeah. Well, somebody said this. I see her. Here, go ahead, babe. Hold on a second. Wait 1 second, Regina. You got dropped out. Okay, there you go.
Sorry.
All right, you're back. All right. So somebody said if Chris had slapped Will, Chris would be in jail right now and called all kind of.
I absolutely believe so.
You think so?
Yeah.
No question.
Yeah.
No, I believe.
Y'all think Will would have had Chris locked up?
Well, I don't think Will would have had to do it.
You think somebody else?
I think they would have removed. I think because Will is such a. First of all, it was Will's night. He got to get an Oscar. The Academy knew that. But I think if it was the other way around and Chris walked up and slapped Will, I think he would have been escorted out of the building.
Okay. All right. Corinne Davis said, no, his performance in movies has nothing to do with his actions at the Oscars. Frank, you want to speak to this?
Yes, I sure do. Yeah, I sure do. To Corinne, whoever the writer is, Will's a phenomenal actor. I've watched all of his movies. I think he's really, really good. But I also think that if you're part of the Academy, you have to abide by the Academy rules. If you violate those rules, then some action should be taken. If he is stripped of his Oscar, it doesn't take away from the fact that he's a good actor, but it does demonstrate that there is no tolerance for assault, and that's really what it was. No tolerance for assault or indecency. And then also you have to be careful when you reach an iconic state. You're not above the law. You're not above obeying rules and things like that. Just his brazenness alone to walk up on stage in the middle of such a auspicious night, all of that. I would certainly, if I was in control, I would strip him the next day. But I could go with banning him and all of that. Jesus. But something has to happen because you can get too big and think you can do anything you want to do, and there's no repercussions. I don't care how much money you have, or what how your life is. So.
I was really surprised of why he was allowed to stay in the room. Now I know they knew he was going to win,
and that was part of the discussion too. Why was he allowed to stay in the room? After that altercation, that assault,
he should have been removed.
Yeah,
and unable to accept.
Someone said, I agree. Something needs to take place because if not, it will say that it is okay to do this.
Right, exactly. Precedent has to be set.
But I'm gonna touch this very lightly. You got to know that every part of these things are choreographed in terms of where people are gonna sit, who's gonna sit where, the scripts, the play, all that stuff, right? You got to know, even with the Super Bowl, for example, every single song, the outfits, every single thing had to be approved by the NFL. I'm going to assume that the same thing has to be done when it comes to the Oscars. All these jokes are pre-written. Most of the jokes not even written by the doggone.
But what they said was that yes, his jokes were pre-written, but that one was not.
That one wasn't in it. Right.
This is what's being said. I wasn't able to confirm or deny because I be trying to fact check, but I was not able to find if that were true or not true. But go ahead then.
But where I'm going with that is this. If there is ongoing history, which I did not know because I don't follow TV like that, between Will and Chris Rock, clearly they've been the blunt of jokes by Chris Rock for years.
Not the blunt, baby. We ain't smoking.
Jesus.
Oh my goodness.
Y'all praying for me.
Yeah.
The brunt. Okay, but go ahead.
Pray for me.
I understand, baby.
Now you're gonna rush me through it.
No, go ahead.
The brunt of Chris Rock's jokes.
Yeah.
Chris Rock is the host, or he's going to be giving an award.
Right, because he was not hosting.
Okay. He's going to be there. Can you get her, please? You got 40 years in this game. Can you get her, please? She is on another level tonight.
But go ahead, babe. You're doing real good.
Thank you for your approval.
You're welcome.
I'm trying to get my one statement out.
Get it out.
Hush. So, the brunt of his joke, he's going to be there. Here's my thing. Why did not the agent of Will Smith and Jada get with the Academy or get with them and say, hey, listen, guys, not today. We're not here for it today, or we're not coming, keep the award. Because that stuff, even at my level of life, I know of people going through and doing those type of negotiations, writers when it comes to artists and guests and things. I had to deal with that type of stuff. Oh, they don't want to be next to this person. They want to be next to that stuff. Really is real. You cannot tell me why did their camps not get together and say, hey, not this year, guys. This is gonna be we have potential to be our moment, not this year.
Yeah.
That's what I don't understand.
Yeah.
Right. And
Will
you
is
know,
so big. Listen, LeBron James had I can't remember this. I hope I get it right. LeBron James had a basketball game move. I think when Cleveland was playing in the playoffs or something, they literally moved an entire TV scheduled game for him. So why you cannot tell me Will is not powerful enough to get stuff moved around on his behalf?
Someone said, and we talked about this earlier, that there was the assumption about the joke would have been that he knew she had alopecia. But I think that this is good because this brings out another point. Gotcha. This brings out another point that Jada has made a lot of personal style choices over the years, and not knowing. I think she recently just came out about alopecia, not knowing that she had been dealing with this for years. We thought that it was just Jada being Jada. Jada has changed her hair. She's changed her style. She's changed her face. Like, honey, you've done so much. Like, the assumption is that everybody is keeping up with you, and the reality is that everybody is not. And so again, I said this earlier, guys, that either way it goes, because of what Black men and women are dealing with our hair and styles that we're choosing and the scrutiny that we're going through, either way it goes, it was a bad joke. It should not. It was in poor taste because it was specifically about her hair. But I do not think that the joke was to mock the illness or to mock alopecia. I don't believe that either. Let me go to somebody says she for the streets. I'm not sure what we were talking about. Somebody said
he said Jada's from the streets.
Oh, Jada from the streets.
So she's like, go whoop piss.
Whoop that. No, okay. I have been reading all the memes, tweets, comments, etc. And as a young woman, what I see here and what other young women think is love is their man going lengths for their girl. I personally do want some to defend and protect me, but never physical, unless they throw the first punch. LOL. Words always will resonate and give more respect for that person. That may have been Riley. If that was Riley, I would have to go back and look at that comment and see if that was my Riley. Yes, that was my, I know it was that Mellow. I got two young people on here. Oh yeah, that was my Riley. That's my niece Riley, you guys. So let me keep reading some of these comments. Barry and Barks, who from, I don't know none of some of what y'all saying. At what point?
That's the question. Who we talking about?
Oh, we talking about Jada. Okay. Yeah. Somebody asked, at what point do the women step in and simply say, "Wait, this isn't a good idea"? Great question. Great question. Somebody and a lot of people have been giving their opinions about what they think should happen. And of course, we're all playing Monday morning quarterback, looking at this thing hindsight 2020. But somebody said it probably would have been more forthright for Will to, number one, from the audience possibly say, "Hey man, that's not okay. We're dealing, you know, like nope, not okay. Nope, like nope, not okay. Not today. Keep her name.
Even to keep your
keep her name out your mouth, Chris. Not tonight. Alopecia is real. You like alopecia is real. Will we agree, people? Like it could. Some people have said that he could have done that. Some people said that it would have been more supportive if he had leaned over to Jada and said, "Baby, it's okay." You know, asked her, "Was she okay?" Tell her you're beautiful, or walked out. Whatever. A lot of people have brought out the point that Jada has boycotted the Oscars for years. Yes, that she has boycotted the Oscars for years. But this is what I'm saying. She's boycotted it for years, and her claim was because there wasn't enough representation from people of color. And the very night that we had the opportunity to be represented, she did not pull her husband back and say, "Nope, we're not going to do it." She did not stop him and say, "This is our night. You actually have a category." He's been nominated 4 times, I believe. He's been nominated 4 times. This was his first time winning. and it wasn't, there was no, so this is my response to this. At what point do we say that's not a good idea? And I think that she had the opportunity to cover her husband, and she did it. But she's never covered him, and I don't know why we're kind of upset at something that we've never seen her do. Like, she ain't gonna start now. For her, there's also trauma, right? Like, real talk. There's also trauma there, because there is something that she has instilled in Will that makes that man a little something special.
We ain't talking about what that problem is.
Well, listen, Lexi
we're
said
not
she got
gonna go into that.
Listen, honey, I'm gonna hit it and quit
We're gonna go into the entanglement. No, please.
No, and honestly, well, you know what? And a lot of people
June, July, and August.
Right, and a lot of people are talking about the entanglement and what he did and did not do in that situation. And my thing is, we don't know what did or did not happen. What we can say is that we saw his hurt. A couple of years, whenever it came out, we saw that man was still hurt by that thing that had happened multiple years prior to that he was still in a place that something was going on here. So that's something different.
Do y'all think the tears were sincere when he gave the speech?
I was not moved.
You weren't moved.
I wasn't moved either.
I wasn't moved either, because
I think they were real though.
I feel like it was real tears.
I feel like tears, but I was not moved.
And I feel like had he given that same acceptance speech and had not hit Chris, it would have spoken very differently.
Right.
Yeah.
I honestly think he would have given a different type of speech. And I'm gonna tell you why. Because I feel like his speech then was geared toward, I need to defend what I did.
To rationalize what
rationalize. Frank, Dr. Frank said damage control. I feel like his speech made a shift to what it is. Let me see. Somebody said also, I'm trying to look at the comment because we're trying to see who said it. Oh, babe, wait a minute. Oh, I'm real far up. Hold on, y'all. Sorry. And I'm gonna read this comment. At what point do the women step in and say, Riley, this is Riley. Also, Will and Jada's marriage have been the bunt of air. Now, let me preface this by saying this. We're in our 40s. We're all, I think everybody on this call right now is between 40 and 60, right? Like we're in another category. We're between 40 and 60. Riley is in her early 20s. She is a senior in college. You understand what I'm saying? And so I want people to understand that
young, pretty girl.
She's beautiful, right? That's my niece. But what I'm saying is that this is even at her level, this is what she's looking at, and this is what she's seeing, and this is how she's responding. And you're thinking about what are we teaching our daughters? What are we teaching? You know, like I told Amanda was like, I like what he did, and he should have hit him. And I said, no, ma'am. I said, no, ma'am. Because see, she will resort to violence, like she about this life. But I'm like, no, ma'am. No, ma'am. I'm not trying to bury your husband. I'm not trying to bury your boyfriend. We're not trying to do that, right? Let's real talk. So, I was saying that to say that we're listening to a different perspective is what I'm saying. So Riley says, also, Will and Jada's marriage have been the bunt of everyone's jokes for a long time now. 50 Cent and other celebrities have said so much about their red table talks and how they feel about their marriage and raising their children that, yes, I think Jada was bothered, but seeing Will laugh prior to going up on stage was just a point of him showing how fed up he just might have been. And Amanda said something. Amanda said a couple things, because I said he laughed, and somebody else said, but this, let me tell you what Amanda said, and I thought it was so good. Number one, he did laugh, but it could have been a couple of things. Amanda said sometimes people laugh when they're angry. I actually laugh when I'm angry. When I'm super, super angry, I will laugh at things because I'm trying to control the emotion. So it could have been two things. One, maybe he was laughing because he was just angry and he was trying to be the good sport, right? And then looking at his wife, it was like, this ain't funny, right? Or it could have been, I actually laughed at it because, hey, I didn't take it seriously. And then he looked at his wife. Right. So it could have been two things. It could have been he was already angry, or it could have been he was genuinely laughing at the joke, didn't take it like that, and then looked at his wife and realized that it was something more than that. We
also got to know that these people have been coached for years on how to deal with this type of stuff.
Right.
This ain't their first rodeo.
Yeah.
Like they have professional trainers on how do you deal with hecklers, how do you deal with walking around, how do you, this stuff is nothing
Because it comes with the
Something that is
territory. It comes
Right.
with
And
territory.
new to them.
he did say that in the speech. He talked about that. So there's some things that he did share. And we're going to read these comments and then we're going to wrap it up. Greg said, please stop making excuses and focus on responsibility and accountability, please. And I agree, right? Like we like, don't do this. Somebody else said something, I'm gonna get to it. I'm cool with the light band, but a strip, nah, he earned that Oscar, and I don't think he used his status because he didn't know he was gonna win. Now he should have accepted it in the trailer and then escorted him out.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
Somebody said, I agree, because any other actor or actress would have been penalized right then. Somebody else said, Black people have never been above the law in this country. Will Smith has never acted above the law. This situation is totally out of his character. The people who wrote the joke should suffer consequences, and Chris should have refused to do the joke.
Hold on, address that. Because
Okay.
you just said earlier, that he did not, that joke was not written.
Well, this is according to some people, not people who, I don't know if these people have any real real concrete.
I thought you said you knew.
No, what I'm saying is I've seen people saying that writers have written the jokes and that this one was not in there and things of that, so forth and so on.
That joke was probably written.
Yeah, so what Chris should have refused to do the joke, so forth and so on. But again, we don't know if when the joke was written, if they shared it with them and said, hey, there's going to be a joke about you, or blah, blah. Like, I don't know.
Did he go off script?
Or did he go off script?
And I don't know the script.
And I don't know the details of what they do at the Oscars and how detailed they are in sharing with people, hey, Chris is going to make a joke about you, because he did make a joke about somebody else prior to that. He made a joke. He made jokes about a few comedian. He made jokes about a few people prior to that. And then he got to that one. Okay. Someone else said, I didn't say that he should have, Korea. I didn't say that he should not have repercussions. However, the Oscars represent his performance in a movie in which he earned. Okay. Let me say something to that. The reality is that we, the people, don't choose this, that there's a group of people that make these nominations and make these final decisions about who's good. Like they have, it's almost like control groups, right? Because we didn't get no ballot. Did you get a ballot about the Oscars to vote on what you thought? It's a very controlled group. So in some sense, they kind of control who wins and who doesn't win. Right. And so, it's like, to that point, it's like, it's something, I get what you're saying. I understand what Corinne is saying, but to some extent, the reality is that they gave it and they can take it the wayeth. We gave you this. Out of the categories you
they have rules. They decided to do it. They have rules.
We gave you this, and you're accepting this under the conditions that you would follow these rules. And so, I mean, we don't want to see that happen. And yes, he did earn it, but there's also that responsibility of making sure that we're doing what we should. That we should just we
uphold our
Greg said something earlier that we should act responsibly. And there was a different way. Okay. Now Chris and Will are friends. Chris was on Fresh Prince back in the day. They were cool. If anybody can crack jokes, it's Chris, because they're right. And that's the thing, is that him and Chris are friends, and I believe that to be true. Somebody said, I don't like that Jada didn't cover him. It's really this is Lehman. It's really the least she could have done. My man's been taking hits for the last 4 years. He's been taking hits for a long time. Wait, what? No one knew that he was going to walk on stage and slap that man. Is this wait, what? No one, I don't know. I'm not sure if that's a question or if it's just a statement. Somebody said nobody knew he was going to walk on stage and hit that man. Oh, that was Korean. Okay. I'm just trying to get through the comments, guys, and then we're going to wrap it up. Hold on a second. Wait, okay, there we go. All right. In the spirit of just being a man, you not slapping me and walking away like that.
You know who that is.
You not walking away like that, like I'm your child. LOL, sorry. It would have been a brawl for it all. Now the combo would have been, we can't invite these Negroes anywhere, because they would have had to cut to commercial break. Mental health or not, keep your hands to yourself, please.
Yeah.
Somebody said, I laugh when I'm pissed. Sorry, namaste. I get it. I feel the tears. May have been a form of embarrassment. I say this because at the after party, his demeanor was different. Oh, it was very different. Because he kicked it
and partying and
having a good time.
He kicked it. Yeah, Yeah, but it probably because his family supported it. It probably because nobody said that wasn't okay, and because this is, I'm gonna do what I gotta do. So I hear he goes off script a lot, and it goes left, and a lot of time they have to edit it when it's recorded.
This is somebody who's in
that industry. Okay.
Yeah, so in entertainment.
Okay, that he goes off script a lot. Okay. And then this is the last statement, and then we'll give our final wrap-ups. It's important to differentiate between harm and violence. While words can be harmful, they are not violent. It sets a dangerous precedent to normalize responding violently to non-violent dialogue. It's rather sad Will would assume Chris was being malicious with the joke, even though it may have been in poor taste. I think that's actually an excellent wrap up.
Yes.
I think that's an excellent sentiment. I think that was an excellent.
Smart.
Hey, Ali.
That's what
I think that was an excellent statement, and wrapped up everything that we've been saying in a very, very good nutshell. I will say this. There are a few things that I think I walk away with that are disheartening. One being that Will, if you listen to the news outlets right now, Will is actually being blamed. Like, even though we're seeing a lot of support for him, there are a lot of people who are not supporting what he did. And there are several people, many actually, that are saying that he is to be blamed for the overshadowing of everyone else's awards and times there. And that's unfortunate that this moment did, in fact, overshadow all of the good that we and others would have experienced from us. Now, again, I wasn't watching, but I would have woke up this morning and been happy to see the people who won, and happy to see
because I heard that the first deaf person won
for Coda. I didn't know what Coda was. Of course, I'm gonna go look it up because I didn't know. Okay.
It was a lot of firsts. It was a lot of firsts. It was a phenomenal show.
So, I want to just wrap up, and I want to that you guys go around the room and give your final comments. I'm going to end with Dr. Frank. Speak to the spiritual implications of this. Even as the NAACP talked about, that this thing is going to really be it's significant. And we don't know the level of significance just yet, but it's going to be significant. But Miss Regina, I'm gonna come to you. Take you full screen. What's your comment? Give us your 30-second wrap up here.
On a serious note, on a funny note, let's say this first. I don't know why Chris stood up there and watched that man come up there and slap him. That's one thing I don't understand. But
he thought he was gonna give him a hug.
I don't know why he just stood up there and just let him come, because he said but anyway, on a serious note, I think we've talked about all the negative parts, all the negative things that come out of it. There is some positive in it, because what it has done is open our eyes to a lot of different things, triggers, alopecia, marriages, covering, a lot of different things. Excuse me, I'm getting choked. But one scripture I want to quote is, a kind word is like a heap of coals over someone's head. And if Chris had not deflated that catastrophe, that's what I'm going to call it, it could have been worse off than that. But the Lord will work all things together for good, because I believe that Will has a call on his life. He spoke to that a little bit, and I'm so glad that some men pulled him aside, like Tyler Perry and Denzel, that understand the implications of the business and how this can really, really, I think he's really messed up that Academy Award thing. But some good things have come out of this. And I think for Will's sake, that his eyes are open to see that he needs some help in some areas, to be realistic about it. And Jada, and the repercussions he's going to have to go through, because, there's some repercussions to things that we do, and how we do it and how we say it. So let's look at the positives and see what comes out of this, and pray for the best for all of them.
Amen. Babe?
Okay. Let's see. For me, I saw it as immaturity versus maturity. I saw how immature Will Smith responded pretty much as a child, upset, and so I'm going to go hit you because of what you said. I thought that was very, very immature. But I did see maturity on Chris Rock's part by saying, okay, I'm not going to say anything else about your wife. And then he was mature enough to move on and do what he was hired to do. And so even though he was a little discombobulated initially after it happened, because it stunned him as well, but he was able to rise above it and continue doing what he was, hired, to do. So I saw that battle. The second thing, as far as spiritual implications of it, is that every action requires a consequence. There has to be some consequences, even spiritually. When we do something, something is expected, to take place. If we sow wrong, we're going to reap wrong. If we sow right, we're going to reap right. And so I think we have to look at what is it that we're sowing, what image are we portraying, and then are we representing our best self in these situations. And also the last thing is that there's a lot of things going on with Will Smith, but some things are par for the territory. Because you are an icon, because you're in the limelight, your business is out there, people are going to say things, and so you have to really be strong. You have to have tough skin, and there's a proper way to address disagreements, backstage, behind the scenes. But to handle it, in that manner, I think was what was very, very immature and in poor taste. And I do believe some repercussions should take place for Will Smith.
Yes.
Awesome.
Amen.
Thank you.
Well, as we always do, we want to pray. I'm gonna.
Wait, I didn't have my final words.
I thought you started off with your final word.
No.
You've been talking the whole time.
But you said final words. Oh my goodness! Tonight, have mercy, Holy Ghost. Let me let me be mature.
Be mature. Come on, exercise what we've been talking about all night long. And make sure you're mature when we get off the live too. When we close down the live,
I'll think about it because can't nobody see me.
Make sure you be mature then behind closed doors.
Okay, we'll see. Do you want to go first, or are you going to end it with prayer? Okay, great. All right. So
you saw the slap. Y'all saw the slap.
I did not.
Y'all saw the slap. Y'all saw the slap, did you? Did you see the slap?
Well, turn the other cheek, sweetie.
You see the slap again?
Anyway, all right. These are my final thoughts. Number one, the plus in this is that they have both apologized to each other.
I haven't read it yet.
I've read both apologies.
Has it been vetted?
And yeah, they posted from their pages. Can you stop interrupting me today? Thank you.
I know.
Okay.
I know.
Thank you.
Said blink twice.
Okay. What I want to say is that they both have apologized. Okay. I said it at the top of the show. Is number one, we have to allow people to express themselves. And even though you may be tired of the conversation, to Regina's point, this conversation is needed for so many different reasons. Because we've seen now what happens when people keep suppressing and pushing things down, is that it comes out in a moment of, to Frank's point, what we saw happen was that little boy on the inside respond. And that's something deeper, right? So we're talking about mental health, and I think that it goes across the board. I do want to say that I do appreciate the fact that they both had time to get with their publicists, their different groups of people, and go ahead and publish statements of apology to one another. I believe that is, I commend them both for doing that, because they both could have walked away and been very quiet and said nothing, but they both came out and responded by apologizing. I appreciate the quote that Denzel made, and I think that a lot of people are talking about that quote, but I want people to understand that Denzel was not calling Chris the devil. And we can't, and some people are looking at this and saying, right, Chris, I don't think that's it. I think that, and my husband said it best, I think that he's telling you to deal with your heart, the issues of your heart, and how when you get to this level, how things are going to start coming at you, where you need to guard your heart with all diligence. and that you need to deal with what's happening here, because the devil, those of us who are spiritual understand that it's the battleground of the mind. It's here. And so there is nothing, my husband said it too, there's nothing that should make you come out of character from the outside. You cannot control what other people do. You can only control you. And so I want all of us to look at that statement and think about that. As we begin to elevate in life, as God begins to take all of us higher and new things come, guess what? You're going to have to deal with those issues that come. The enemy is going to come in and try to knock you off your rocker, but you have to hold fast to that. The last thing that I want to say is this.
What words was that?
A few. The last thing,
words.
A few. The last thing I want to say is this, is that at the end of the day, we're going to extend grace. I would encourage everybody to extend grace. We can have our very own opinions about what happened, right or wrong. None of us are perfect. It doesn't matter that he's Will Smith. It doesn't matter the grand stage that he's lived on. It doesn't matter his platform. It doesn't matter that he has been upstanding. The reality is that he is a person who in that moment responded in a way that wasn't okay. Okay. Regardless, it wasn't okay for whatever reasons, but he responded out of character. And I'm saying that based on his own apology, that it was unexcusable. He said it himself, that it was unexcusable. Now, grant you, we are going to excuse him, meaning we are going to extend grace. My prayer is that he extends grace to himself. My prayer is that he forgives himself and that he's able to say, you know what? I can put this behind me and move on. And I pray that others extend grace. I say it all the time. Yeah. Extend the same grace to others that you want extended to you.
Yeah.
Because we can throw all kind of blame and other things out there. But I said it and I'll say it again. You have to see beyond what we really saw. It was so much more than that smack and that outburst. We got to see beyond that. And in this place, Regina spoke to it, that we see that there's so many different things that have come out. Let's deal with mental health head on.
Yes.
Let's stop suppressing people and telling them to be quiet and don't talk about it. This hits so many people different triggers for different people. Everybody's vantage point is different. Like, y'all, let's just be gracious. Let's just be gracious. Let's be respectful of people's opinions, whether we're still talking about this tomorrow, next week, next month. Let's respect that people just need to get it out and that this is a platform in which they can use. Let's pray for those people. Even if you don't respond, let's pray and say, you know what, God, heal them, help them understand your best for them, whatever that may be. And so, I'll end it on that. Extend grace.
Extend
grace.
Amen.
Any more final words?
No, that was it for right now, babe.
Listen, Dr. Frank, can you close out in prayer?
Sure.
And I want to say this one comment. My final word is,
Lemon, shut up.
I declare and pray that what the enemy meant for bad, that God will get the glory out of this situation.
Yeah.
And somehow this situation will turn around in our community, our people, our young people, our young black men, our young black women, and somehow, some way, God's going to get the glory out of this situation and lives will be changed as a result of that. That's my heart. And that's my prayer. And I'm going to ask Minister Frank, close out in prayer.
Okay.
Whatever God puts on your heart, closes out in prayer on this evening.
Okay. Father, we just thank you for this time of discussion that we've had regarding the incident on yesterday, Father. So many life lessons to be learned from this, Father. We ask God that grace would be extended, Father, both to Will and to Chris, Father. We just ask, Lord, that you would mend that relationship and that friendship, Father. We ask, God, even in our own lives, if there anything that we have suppressed or anything that we're dealing with, that, God, you would help us in those issues and those situations that we may have, Father. Let us move from immaturity to maturity in handling any and every situation, whether it's with our children, with our marriage, with our family, with our friends, with our co-workers, Father. We ask, God, that we would operate in a spirit of forgiveness and a spirit of love, Father, so that each person can be restored to their purpose and to the fulfillment that you have for them. This we pray in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Frank, please send our love to Janae, our
I sure
sister,
will do that.
and Regina. Please send our love to Larry, please.
Will do.
Thank both of your spouses for letting y'all be on here with us.
Yes. All right.
Bye-bye.
Good night.
Good
Well,
night.
guys,
Good
we
night.
thank y'all so much for coming into the room tonight. Again, it is Conversation with the Ghostins. Please make sure that you subscribe and share. Hashtag the Ghost your watch play. Hashtag CWTG. Hashtag replay. Listen, guys, it's been a great conversation. Again, thanks for coming into the room. Conversation with the Ghostins. Real, uncut, unfiltered conversation. To all of our guests, to Regina and to Frank McKnight, thank y'all so much for coming. To all of those who participated in the conversation, we appreciate you all. We see all of your comments. Thank y'all. We appreciate you. We love it. And until next time, we will see you all again. And that's it. Ghost is out.